"Don't drink that," came a soft, urgent whisper. Cyrus Bennett froze, the cold glass of orange juice trembling inches from his lips. His eyes darted sideways. There stood little Maya Williams, only 9 years old, quiet, unassuming, wearing her favorite pink hoodie. But her eyes, they held a depth, a sharpness far beyond her years. Her words hadn't been loud, but they sliced through the still morning air like a siren. Something was wrong. Slowly, Cyrus lowered the glass. "What do you mean?" he asked, trying to sound casual, even teasing. "Did I take your juice by mistake?" Maya didn't smile. Her gaze remained locked on the glass, hands tucked behind her back. "It smells like that stuff they used on me once. At the center," she whispered, "when they didn't want us to remember." A chill crept down Cyrus's spine. The room was bathed in warm California sunlight. Outside, the garden crew trimmed the hedges. The scent of cinnamon toast lingered in the air, but everything suddenly felt wrong. He glanced toward the kitchen. Vanessa, his fiancée, hummed softly as she arranged a tray of fruit. "Vanessa made this," Cyrus said quietly. "I know," Maya replied. Cyrus stared at the glass again, condensation rolling lazily down the sides. It looked just like every glass of juice he'd had over the last 6 months. But now, thanks to a small voice, it looked like danger. He gave a weak laugh, brushing Maya's hair behind her ear. "You've got quite the imagination." She didn't flinch, didn't smile, just said softly, "Maybe, don't drink it." "Not yet." Without another word, Maya walked away. Her small sneakers squeaked on the tile. The door clicked shut behind her, leaving Cyrus alone with the silence and the juice. He didn't drink it. He poured it down the sink. That night, long after the house had gone quiet, Cyrus stood by his office window, staring into the dark. Vanessa had gone to bed hours ago. Maya's words echoed in his mind. 6 weeks ago, he'd taken her in. A brilliant little girl he'd met through one of his tech nonprofit outreach programs. She had flagged a major exploit in his company's firewall, all from an old tablet she'd repaired herself in a foster home. Moved by her mind and her situation, Cyrus brought her home. They'd settled into an unusual rhythm. Not father and daughter, not quite mentorship, something in between. Maya noticed everything, too much sometimes, and now she'd warned him. Cyrus sat down at his desk and pulled up his home security logs. Everything looked normal, too normal. He frowned and dug deeper, scanning the home network. Then he spotted it, an unusual signal near the second-floor hallway. Not one of his devices, not the thermostat, not the fridge. Something small, active, unregistered. His first instinct was to call his IT chief, but he stopped. Maya's voice came back to him, her calm, steady gaze. Maybe he hadn't been paying enough attention, but she had. The next morning, Maya was already in the kitchen, quietly stirring her oatmeal. Cyrus approached and sat across from her. "I didn't drink it," he said softly. Maya paused, a spoon in midair. "I know." He leaned in. "Would you show me how you knew?" She looked surprised and then nodded. A small shift began between them, not of power, but of trust. And sometimes trust begins with a whisper. Later that morning, as the house bustled on, Cyrus watched Maya from the corner of his office. She sat cross-legged on the rug, sketching on her old tablet, eyes darting subtly, always aware. "You always notice everything?" he asked. "Mostly," she murmured. "It's how I know if I'm safe." Her words hit hard. Cyrus pulled a worn scrap of paper from his pocket. "I found this behind a photo frame," he said. Maya studied it. "It's binary, sort of. See this? A MAC address. Not one of your devices. Someone had hidden this, dropped it, or forgot it was there." Just then, Margot, the housekeeper of 32 years, entered. She eyed the paper in Maya's hand. "What's this?" "A device ID," Cyrus explained. Margot's eyes narrowed. "I clean that hallway every Tuesday. Never saw anything odd." "That's kind of the point," Maya replied softly. "Whoever did this didn't want anyone to notice." Margot hesitated, then spoke. "Yesterday morning, I saw Vanessa in the study. She said she was looking for a magazine, but there was no magazine there." Cyrus stiffened. He remembered. The magazine was on his nightstand. Vanessa's excuse didn't add up. Maya stood. I think she's watching you. You really think she's spying on me? For who? I don't know. But if she's sending your files out, she's not keeping them. Cyrus turned to Margot. You know this house better than anyone. Help me look. Quietly. Margot nodded. Maya stepped closer. I can help too. Cyrus hesitated, then saw her sharp mind, her calm eyes. All right, but no risks. Careful's my default, she said. That afternoon, the three began their quiet search. Cyrus checked network logs. Maya scanned for rogue signals. Margot searched for anything out of place. It was Maya who found the first clue, in the guest room Vanessa favored. Near an ornate vase, a birthday gift from Vanessa. Maya's tablet buzzed faintly. There's something here, she whispered. Cyrus lifted the vase. Beneath the decorative stones, a tiny recording device. His blood ran cold. Margot crossed herself silently. Cyrus stared at the device. How the hell did I miss this? Because you trusted her, Maya said softly. And if you've ever trusted the wrong person, leave a like for Maya's incredible wisdom. And comment where you're watching from. You never know who else might be following this story. By nightfall, they'd found 3 more devices, behind a painting, inside a decorative clock, and one inside Cyrus's nightstand drawer. Every place Vanessa had touched in the last month. Cyrus sat on his bed thinking. She knew when I'd be gone. She always brought coffee when I was stressed, always offered to organize my files. She's good, Margot said softly. Too good, Maya added. We need proof, Cyrus finally said. Enough to hold up in court. Maya's eyes lit up. Then we don't stop them. We let them think they're winning. We give them something to take, something we control. Margot smiled faintly. Like bait. Cyrus nodded. Exactly. He looked at Maya, this quiet, brilliant child who had just saved him from a betrayal he never saw coming. And when they reach for it, he said calmly, we'll be ready. They had built Bennett's secure tech from the ground up. If Cyrus had ever considered anyone a brother, it was Miles. And that was what made Maya's revelation feel like poison burning in his chest. He's been here when you weren't, she had told him quietly. He and Vanessa, whispering, going through your desk. Last week I heard him say, it has to match the launch date. Cyrus hadn't wanted to believe it, but after what he'd discovered last night, 3 active listening devices hidden throughout his home, belief no longer mattered. What he needed now was the truth. Miles entered the office with his usual swagger, draped in a black cashmere coat over a tailored gray suit, flashing an easy grin as if they hadn't spoken in weeks. You rang, partner, Miles said cheerfully. Have a seat, Cyrus replied calmly, gesturing to the leather chair across from his desk. Miles dropped into it, one ankle resting casually over his knee. What's the urgency? You sound tense. Just getting my ducks in a row, Cyrus said smoothly. You know the prototype we're launching next week, the adaptive encryption layer. Miles nodded, his expression guarded. Of course, the big one. I'm making some last-minute changes to the architecture, Cyrus lied effortlessly. Too many eyes on the current version. I'm setting up a decoy framework. Identical but non-functional. Miles raised an eyebrow. You think someone's leaking information? Cyrus met his gaze. I think it's always better to be careful. For just a moment, Miles's practiced smile faltered. Well, let me know if you need me to do anything differently. I will. The moment Miles left, Cyrus locked the door and turned to Maya, who had been watching from the surveillance feed hidden inside a closet down the hall. He smiled too much, Maya said softly. Cyrus sighed. He always does, but this time, it felt off. Maya tapped her screen. He's carrying a burner phone. I caught a signal. It's on the same frequency Vasebug used. Cyrus's jaw tightened. You're sure? I don't guess, Maya replied firmly. For the next 2 days, they built the trap. With Maya and Margot's help, Cyrus created a mirror directory of fake prototype files, identical in appearance to the real ones, down to the metadata. The files were detailed, complex enough to pass an audit, but embedded with tracer code that would silently alert them the moment anyone tried to access or transmit them. Meanwhile, Margot installed timestamp surveillance, voice-activated motion sensors, and a hidden camera lens inside the crystal vase, a fitting irony using Vanessa's own methods against her. That night, Maya sat in her room, double-checking signals for the fifth time. Cyrus knocked softly on her half-open door. "Still awake?" he asked. She nodded. "Couldn't sleep." He sat on the edge of her bed. "You shouldn't have to carry so much," he said gently. "You're 9. "I was 7 when I started noticing people lie," she replied simply. "It's not that heavy anymore." He studied her. "Do you think she suspects anything?" Maya shrugged. "She's confident. Dangerous people usually are. But she's not careful anymore. She thinks you're distracted. And you were, until now." He nodded slowly. "Do you trust me?" "I trust facts," she said. "But, yeah, I think I trust you too." They had built Bennett SecureTech from the ground up. If Cyrus had ever considered anyone a brother, it was Miles. And that was what made Maya's revelation feel like poison burning in his chest. "He's been here when you weren't," she had told him quietly. "He and Vanessa, whispering, going through your desk. Last week I heard him say, 'It has to match the launch date.'" Cyrus hadn't wanted to believe it, but after what he'd discovered last night, 3 active listening devices hidden throughout his home, belief no longer mattered. What he needed now was the truth. Miles entered the office with his usual swagger, draped in a black cashmere coat over a tailored gray suit, flashing an easy grin as if they hadn't spoken in weeks. "You rang, partner?" Miles said cheerfully. "Have a seat," Cyrus replied calmly, gesturing to the leather chair across from his desk. Miles dropped into it, one ankle resting casually over his knee. "What's the urgency?" "You sound tense." "Just getting my ducks in a row," Cyrus said smoothly. "You know the prototype we're launching next week, the adaptive encryption layer." Miles nodded, his expression guarded. "Of course, the big one. I'm making some last-minute changes to the architecture," Cyrus lied effortlessly. "Too many eyes on the current version. I'm setting up a decoy framework. Identical, but non-functional." Miles raised an eyebrow. "You think someone's leaking information?" Cyrus met his gaze. "I think it's always better to be careful." For just a moment, Miles's practiced smile faltered. "Well, let me know if you need me to do anything differently." "I will." The moment Miles left, Cyrus locked the door and turned to Maya, who had been watching from the surveillance feed hidden inside a closet down the hall. "He smiled too much," Maya said softly. Cyrus sighed. "He always does. But this time, it felt off." Maya tapped her screen. "He's carrying a burner phone. I caught a signal. It's on the same frequency Vasebug used." Cyrus's jaw tightened. "You're sure?" "I don't guess," Maya replied firmly. For the next 2 days, they built the trap. With Maya and Margot's help, Cyrus created a mirror directory of fake prototype files, identical in appearance to the real ones, down to the metadata. The files were detailed, complex enough to pass an audit, but embedded with tracer code that would silently alert them the moment anyone tried to access or transmit them. Meanwhile, Margot installed timestamp surveillance, voice-activated motion sensors, and a hidden camera lens inside the crystal vase, a fitting irony, using Vanessa's own methods against her. That night, Maya sat in her room, double-checking signals for the 5th time. Cyrus knocked softly on her half-open door. "Still awake?" he asked. She nodded. "Couldn't sleep." He sat on the edge of her bed. "You shouldn't have to carry so much," he said gently. "You're 9. "I was 7 when I started noticing people lie," she replied simply. "It's not that heavy anymore." He studied her. "Do you think she suspects anything?" Maya shrugged. "She's confident. Dangerous people usually are. But she's not careful anymore. She thinks you're distracted. And you were, until now." He nodded slowly. "Do you trust me?" "I trust facts," she said. "But, yeah, I think I trust you too." The next evening, Vanessa announced she was going to a late yoga class. "I'll be back in about an hour," she said, brushing her lips against Cyrus's cheek. "Don't wait up." He watched her leave. 37 minutes later, the guest room Wi-Fi pinged active. "She's back," Maya whispered from the control room, once the wine cellar, now lined with monitors and signal interceptors. "Not through the front door, patio entrance. She's opening the encrypted folder now." Cyrus leaned forward. "Is the tracer live?" "Already pinged," Maya confirmed. "She's transmitting. And she just inserted a USB drive. She's copying everything." Margot's voice came from behind. "Time to call the cavalry?" "Not yet," Cyrus replied, eyes narrowing. "We need to see where it goes." 15 tense minutes passed. Vanessa completed the transfer and sent the files to an overseas server. Maya traced the signal. "It's bouncing. Frankfurt, then Singapore," she murmured. "Whoever's receiving it is high tier." Then she frowned. "Wait, there's a reply coming back." "What does it say?" Cyrus asked. Maya's fingers danced across the keys. "Phase 2 confirmed. Final insertion tomorrow. Target destabilized." Cyrus's expression hardened. "Final insertion?" Margot echoed. "They think they've won." "They haven't," Cyrus said coldly. "Not even close. Tomorrow night we let them believe they've destroyed me. Then what?" Maya asked. His voice was like steel. "Then we destroy them." Morning arrived, unnervingly calm. The manicured grounds of the Bennett estate sparkled beneath crisp sunlight. Inside, silence hovered between Cyrus and Vanessa, a dance of practiced charm. She wore a navy blouse and pearl earrings, her smile as bright as ever. "You've got your big meeting today, right?" "Just a quick one with the legal team," Cyrus replied, masking his voice with practiced warmth. "Should I stop by later? Bring dinner?" "That would be nice," he said. Maya sat quietly at the table with her tablet, but Cyrus caught the slight twitch of her brows. She knew Vanessa was already making her next move. By 9 a.m., Vanessa left for her yoga class. The moment her car disappeared, Cyrus and Maya got to work. "Another message," Maya reported from the basement. "Encrypted, but this one's smaller, like instructions." "Where's it going?" "Hillsborough," she answered. "And there's only one person in your circle who lives there." "Miles," Cyrus said through clenched teeth. Maya looked up. "We need to catch them both. Together." "It's time for the bait," he replied. Later that day, Cyrus invited both Miles and Vanessa to dinner at the estate. "Both of you," he said. "I have something important to share about the company." Vanessa hesitated. "Of course, darling." Miles sounded surprised. "Together? That's unusual." "You'll see why. Bring a bottle of that Pinot you like." By evening, the stage was set. The dining room and study were wired with high-definition surveillance. Every device Miles or Vanessa might use had been replaced with firewall traps. At 6:58 p.m., Vanessa arrived first, elegant in a fitted gray dress. She kissed Cyrus lightly. "You seem tense." "Just big company nerves," he replied. Moments later, Miles arrived, charming as ever, wine in hand. "I hope I'm not interrupting a romantic evening." "Not at all," Cyrus replied with a grin. Dinner unfolded beneath the amber glow of sunset. Conversation drifted over safe topics, but beneath it, tension coiled. "So," Vanessa said at last, crossing her legs. "What's this news?" Cyrus leaned back. "I've decided to fast-track the prototype release and name the new encryption protocol after my father, the Edward cipher." Vanessa blinked. "You never mentioned that." "I decided last night," he replied. Miles looked visibly uncomfortable. "I've also asked the FBI to audit every digital pathway involved," Cyrus continued, "just to make sure everything is clean." The pause that followed was long. Finally, Vanessa spoke. "That seems dramatic. Or overdue," Cyrus said, locking eyes with her. From the hallway, Maya watched through her tablet. "They're nervous," she whispered. "Good," Margot replied softly. "Let them stew." "Cyrus," Vanessa said suddenly, "we should talk. Privately." "Why?" he asked. "Something you don't want Miles to hear?" Miles coughed. "Maybe this isn't the time." "No," Cyrus said coolly. "I think it is." He led them to the study. On the large screen, video began to play. Vanessa in the guest room, uploading files. Then another clip. Miles inserting a USB drive into Cyrus's personal terminal. The footage was time-stamped and crystal clear. Vanessa paled. Miles took a step back. I trusted you, Cyrus said. Both of you. And you used my home, my systems, my life as your playground. Vanessa's mask cracked. You think you figured it all out? I think I've got enough, Cyrus said. The study doors opened. Two agents stepped inside, badges out. Vanessa Quinn, Miles Wren. You're under investigation for conspiracy, fraud, and violation of federal cybersecurity laws. Neither resisted. As the agents cuffed them, Maya entered, standing by Cyrus's side. Vanessa's gaze snapped to her. It was you! Maya stared back, unflinching. You should have been more careful where you planted your microphones. Vanessa didn't speak again. As they were led away, Cyrus felt the crushing weight finally lift. Not joy, but a sharp, cold relief. He turned to Maya. You saved me. She shook her head. You saved yourself. I just told the truth. He studied her for a long moment. That's all it ever takes, isn't it? Someone to listen. That night, long after the house had fallen silent, Cyrus stood alone in the study, a glass of untouched juice in hand. He hadn't poured it out. Not yet. Morning came, crisp and clear. The storm had passed, stripping away the last of the pretense. Downstairs, Maya prepared breakfast with Margot. Eggs, toast, hash browns. Something simple. Something real. Margot placed a cup of coffee on the table. You did something big last night, Maya. Without looking up, Maya stirred the eggs. I just told the truth. That takes more courage than you know. Finally, Maya looked up, eyes tired but steady. Do you think he's angry at me? Margot smiled gently. Number, not at all. I think he sees you clearer now than ever. Upstairs. Cyrus's phone rang, slicing through the quiet. He answered with a slow, heavy breath. Mr. Bennett, this is Special Agent Lori Jensen. Just following up. I'm listening. Vanessa and Miles are both in custody. We've begun searching Miles's properties. The digital evidence you provided, along with the footage, will fast-track the charges. But there's more. Cyrus turned toward the desk, voice low. Go on. We've traced a financial trail, overseas accounts, a secondary shell company operating under your foundation's name. She paused. Under your name. Cyrus felt his heart slow, the weight of her words sinking deep. They were using your reputation to funnel funds, Jensen continued. And Vanessa had help. Beyond Miles, there's someone on your board, possibly more than one. They've been signing off on these transfers. We don't know who yet, but they tried to erase the trail. If not for your daughter, she corrected herself. For Maya, we might not have found it. Cyrus eased into the chair. When he finally spoke, his voice was quiet. Keep me updated. I'll be ready. When the call ended, silence swallowed the room. It felt too large, too empty. Slowly, he opened a drawer and drew out an old photo he hadn't touched in years. Himself, younger, standing at the beach with his late wife Janelle, holding a toddler, his real daughter. Her name had been Erin, a name he hadn't dared to speak in a long time. The ache in his chest returned with a familiar, sharp sting. A gentle knock at the door interrupted his thoughts. Come in. Maya peeked inside, her voice soft. Can I sit? He nodded. She crossed the room and settled into the chair opposite him, her pale yellow hoodie too large, jeans hanging loose, braids tied up. Her gaze was unsure. Cyrus studied her for a long moment. Then softly, You never owed me anything, Maya. You understand that, right? She nodded. I know. And yet you saved everything. I didn't want you to get hurt, she whispered. You were kind to me when you didn't have to be. That shouldn't be rare, he murmured. A silence passed between them, heavy and full. Then Maya leaned forward. There's something I need to tell you. Go ahead. She took a shaky breath. Vanessa, she tried to give me money. Twice. She wanted me to keep quiet about something I saw on her laptop. I didn't take it. I just watched. Cyrus's eyes darkened. You saw the account transfers? No. I saw a video of you sleeping. The camera was close. Too close. Like it was filmed inside your room. Cyrus's hand tightened on the desk. She had a backup drive, Maya continued. It's hidden in her car, behind the license plate. I saw her hide it. Without a word, Cyrus rose and grabbed his keys. Wait, Maya said quickly. Let me come with you. He hesitated, then nodded. Together they walked to the garage, their steps echoing in the cold air, scented faintly of pine oil and steel. Vanessa's luxury SUV sat untouched, arrested in time. Cyrus knelt by the license plate, screwdriver in hand. A few turns later, there it was. A small black flash drive, taped behind the steel frame. He pulled it free, holding it to the light. For a moment, neither spoke. What if there's more? Maya whispered. Then we burn it all down, Cyrus replied quietly. Together. Later that evening, in the study, they plugged the drive into an isolated laptop. No network, no risks. What they uncovered made Maya gasp. Videos. Dozens of them. Not just of Cyrus, but of board members, associates, government officials. Moments of vulnerability, arguments, secrets. Vanessa had built an arsenal, not for blackmail, but for leverage. Maya looked away, sickened. Cyrus closed the laptop slowly, unreadable. She was preparing for war, he said. Maya's voice trembled. And you were the weapon. He met her eyes. Not anymore. In the days that followed, Cyrus worked methodically, quietly. He resigned from 2 boards, fired 3 executives, held private meetings with every major partner. Bit by bit, he rebuilt the walls of his world, this time from stone, not glass. Maya stayed by his side, not because she had to, because she chose to. Cyrus arranged her schooling, found her a private tutor, and gave her the one thing she had never possessed, a voice that mattered. Weeks passed. One evening as the sun dipped beneath the horizon, Maya stood on the back patio, wrapped in a blanket. Cyrus joined her. Cold? He asked. A little. He handed her a mug of cocoa. She smiled faintly and looked up. Do you think people can change? I think people can choose, he replied. That's the difference. She nodded slowly. The porch lights reflected in her eyes. For the first time in years, Cyrus felt peace. Not because the storm had passed, but because someone had helped him see it coming, and he had chosen to stand in the rain. The rain returned that night, not loud and furious, but steady, a whisper against the windows of the Bennett estate. Cyrus stood alone in the dining room, a folder in his hands. Inside, names. Names of those he had trusted. Names tied to betrayal. Margot entered with 2 mugs of chamomile tea. She paused, noting his silence. It's late, Mr. Bennett. I know. He turned the folder in his hands. I've been going through the list. Maya pieced it together, from the flash drive. Margot's brow furrowed. It's worse than I imagined, he said. Not just Vanessa and Miles, 2 of my longest-serving advisors, Harvey Cross and Evelyn Sloan. They signed off on authorizations, overseas disbursements through a dummy shell. Margot set the mugs down, face grim. I always thought Evelyn was too polite to be real. She helped me set up the trust back in 2003. I asked her to oversee the scholarship fund. His voice broke. She used it to launder money. Margot's lips thinned. So, what now? I confront them, Cyrus said. Then he looked up. But not alone. Not anymore. The next morning, the sun rose behind silver clouds. Cyrus pulled into the lot at Bennett Capital Group, the glass empire he had built, now hiding rot within its walls. The boardroom was already full when he arrived. 12 members sat in silence. Harvey Cross at the far end, eyes cold. Evelyn Sloan beside him, wearing her signature silk scarf. Cyrus entered, placing a leather binder on the table. The room hushed. Thank you for coming, he began. Today, I'm not here as your CEO. I'm here as the man you nearly destroyed. Evelyn straightened. Cyrus, what is this about? Without a word, he slid 2 documents forward. Signed authorizations. Harvey's fingers twitched. These are your signatures, Cyrus said steadily. Approving $48 million in funds diverted to a Cayman shell. Miles's laundering pipeline. A ripple of unease crossed the room. Harvey leaned back. That's a serious accusation. I'm not accusing. Cyrus pressed a button. A speaker clicked on. Vanessa's voice filled the room. We'll use Evelyn for authorizations. She owes me. Harvey, too. They won't ask questions. Cyrus is too distracted, chasing philanthropy and press. Silence. Cyrus stopped the audio. Effective immediately, You are both relieved of your positions. Legal counsel will contact you. Evelyn opened her mouth. Don't, Cyrus said, voice cracking. Not a word. I trusted you. You didn't just betray me. You betrayed the children, the veterans, everyone who believed in this company. Security entered. Evelyn and Harvey stood, resigned. When the doors closed again, Cyrus addressed the board. If anyone else is hiding something, now is your only chance. Speak. Silence. Cyrus nodded. Then let's get back to work. But this time, we build with honesty. That afternoon, as Cyrus exited the building, he spotted Maya by the fountain, reading To Kill a Mockingbird. She looked up. How'd it go? They're gone. She smiled. You did it. No, he said quietly. We did. Maya stood. Do you ever regret building all this? He glanced back at the headquarters. I regret not watching closer. They walked for a while. Then Maya said, I think we should do something. Like what? Take the Real Education Fund. Visit the schools. Meet the kids. Hear their stories. Cyrus smiled. You're becoming quite the troublemaker. She grinned. Guess I had a good teacher. The following week they traveled, not in private jets, but in a rented SUV. They visited small schools in towns like Pine Bluff, Arkansas, and Gallup, New Mexico, places with cracked courts and one-room libraries. Maya asked questions, listened. Cyrus watched her, learning to see the world again. At a school in rural Mississippi, a boy named Andre asked, Are you really the man on the news? The one with the glass tower? That's me, Cyrus replied, crouching beside him. You came all the way here? I came to see you. The boy looked down at his worn sneakers. Nobody ever does. Cyrus glanced at Maya, who nodded. Well, Cyrus said, you're somebody, and this won't be the last time. Later on the drive back, Maya asked, Do you think the world's changing? I think we're changing, Cyrus said, and sometimes that's enough to move the world. That night, back at the estate, Cyrus received another call. Agent Jensen's voice came through, clear and firm. Mr. Bennett, we've identified the final piece. Someone else, inside your charity's advisory circle, was feeding Vanessa intel. Cyrus's jaw tightened. Who? A pause. Lucille Denver. She's not on payroll, but she chaired the health outreach program last year. Quiet woman, background in data analytics. Cyrus's mind flashed. Lucille, always helpful, always behind the scenes. Rarely spoke, never questioned. We'll need your permission to run a deeper audit and possibly stage a quiet confrontation. Off record for now. Cyrus turned to the window. Outside, under the big oak tree, Maya sat with her head tilted toward the stars. Yes, he said, but don't corner her yet. He watched the girl he once called a stranger and now couldn't imagine life without. Sometimes, he added quietly, truth shows up exactly when it's meant to. The next morning broke bright and golden, sunlight streaking across the floors of the Bennett estate. Birdsong filtered through the cracked kitchen window. Maya sat at the counter, spoon halfway to her mouth, eyes glued to the television news ticker. Her cereal sat forgotten, soggy. Lucille Denver, she whispered. Cyrus entered, adjusting the cuffs of his shirt. Still thinking about it? She was at the gala last year, Maya said. Gave me a cupcake, pink frosting, looked homemade. She worked the donor tables, Cyrus replied. Never caused trouble, never asked for anything. She was kind, Maya murmured. A beat. That makes it worse, doesn't it? Cyrus poured himself a cup of black coffee. Kindness makes the mask harder to see. Later that morning, Cyrus sat across from Agent Jensen in a quiet corner of a Pasadena cafe. The agent wore plain clothes and spoke without looking up from his coffee. She was careful, Jensen said. Encrypted channels, small pieces of intel, projected earnings, construction dates, board travel schedules. And the surveillance in my office, Cyrus asked. Jensen shook his head. That was Vanessa. Lucille never planted anything, but she knew. Why? Debt, divorce, medical bills for her sister. Vanessa offered help. Lucille thought it was harmless, until it wasn't. Cyrus rubbed his temples. Where is she now? She teaches coding on weekends in Boyle Heights. Still lives in her old rental. We can pick her up anytime. No, Cyrus said. I'll speak to her first. Alone. That afternoon, Cyrus and Maya drove to Boyle Heights. The streets buzzed with life. Kids on bikes, parents hauling groceries, street vendors under wide umbrellas. The air smelled of grilled corn and hot asphalt. Lucille Denver stood at the door of a community center, helping an elderly man carry a laptop inside. She looked older than Cyrus remembered, streaks of silver in her hair, eyes heavy with exhaustion. When she saw Cyrus, she froze. "Lucille," he greeted calmly. "May I have a word?" They sat beneath a rusted patio umbrella in the rear courtyard. Maya remained inside, chatting softly with children. Lucille folded her hands. "I assume you know." "I do." She swallowed hard. "I didn't take money. I never asked for favors." "But you passed along information," Cyrus said, "knowing who Vanessa was." Lucille stared down at her fingers. "It started small. Site inspection dates, personnel shifts. I didn't understand until much later." "And when you knew?" Her voice cracked. "My sister Joan, Parkinson's. Medicaid wouldn't cover experimental treatments. Vanessa knew someone. The treatments helped her." "Hold a fork again." Cyrus was silent for a long moment. "You broke my trust," he finally said, "but it wasn't for a penthouse or promotion. It was for family." Lucille looked up, startled. "I'm not excusing it," he continued, "but I understand." Her voice trembled. "What happens now?" "You step down from the foundation today, and you go public." "Public?" Her eyes widened. "You tell the press everything. What you did, why you did it, what Vanessa offered. Name every person she corrupted. The truth, so no one else like her gains ground again." Tears welled in Lucille's eyes. "And if I refuse?" Cyrus's expression hardened. "Then your name goes to federal prosecutors." Lucille stood. "I'll speak." Inside, Maya met them with 2 cups of lemonade. Lucille accepted one, her hand trembling. "You're Maya, aren't you?" "Yes, ma'am." Lucille gave her a long look. "You've got courage." Maya smiled, eyes serious. "Sometimes truth just needs a voice." That evening, the press conference was held in a modest auditorium. No fanfare, no designer gowns, just curious reporters and a podium bearing the Bennett Foundation seal. Lucille stood at the microphone. No makeup, plain blouse, hands shaking. "I betrayed a man who trusted me," she began, voice quivering, "not out of greed, but desperation. And still, it was wrong." She detailed Vanessa's manipulation, the small questions, the offers of help, and the guilt that followed. When she finished, silence. Then a single clap. It came from Maya, standing at the back. Slowly, others joined in. Afterward, as the crowd dispersed, Cyrus stood beside Maya. "You didn't have to clap," he said. "She didn't have to tell the truth either," Maya replied. Driving home with the windows down, warm California air swirling through the car, Maya hummed softly to Sam Cooke on the radio. "You really believe people can change?" Cyrus asked. "I believe people can choose," Maya replied. "That's what matters." Later that night, Cyrus stood at the fireplace, an old photo in his hand. Him, Vanessa, and Miles at a charity gala. With a breath, he dropped it into the flames. It curled, blackened, vanished. Maya walked in with a new folder. "What's this?" he asked. "Proposals for a Truth and Transparency Initiative. You said you wanted to rebuild. Thought we'd start here." Inside, ideas for community reporting, internal oversight, youth boards. At the bottom, a handwritten note from Maya. "Justice isn't about revenge. It's about making sure no one else gets hurt." Cyrus looked at her, then the folder. "Looks like I've got homework." Maya grinned. "Good thing you know a straight A student." Outside, night deepened. But for the first time in weeks, the darkness didn't feel so heavy. 3 days after Lucille's confession, the story still dominated headlines. Cable news debated endlessly. Op-eds praised Cyrus's restraint and Maya Williams' surprising role in the unraveling. But inside the Bennett estate, calm was a distant thing. In his study, Cyrus sat alone, staring at a stack of sealed envelopes. Messages from board members, executives, politicians, some offering support, others backing away. One envelope caught his eye. No return address, no seal. Inside, a photograph. Vanessa, standing beside an unfamiliar man in a dark suit. They shook hands in front of a small private airfield. On the back, scrawled in red ink, "She's not done, and she's not alone." Cyrus stood, heart pounding. He picked up the phone. "Get me Jensen, now!" Minutes later, Jensen's voice came through the receiver. "We were afraid of this." "Who's the man in the photo?" "Garrett Winslow, private contractor, ex-NSA, vanished from official records 5 years ago. And now working with Vanessa? Looks that way. If Winslow's involved, this is beyond corporate espionage. It's federal now." Cyrus's jaw clenched. Double security around Maya. She's too close now. Meanwhile, at the local library, Maya sifted through stacks of printed pages, old case files, donor lists. Under a flickering fluorescent light, she highlighted names, dates, notes. One name wouldn't let go: Harland Ellison, major donor, linked to offshore accounts, photographed with Vanessa at an Aspen retreat. "Maya," called Mrs. Nguyen, the librarian. "Closing in 10 minutes, you sweetie." "Thank you, ma'am." Maya packed her notes and stepped into the night air. In the nearly empty parking lot, her breath caught. A dark SUV idled across the street, engine off, windows tinted. Maya's spine tightened. She pulled out her phone and dialed. "Stay on the line," Cyrus said. "Get somewhere public, now." Maya walked briskly to a gas station 2 blocks away, stepping inside and pretending to browse snacks. Back at the estate, Cyrus slammed down the phone and barked orders. "I want eyes on her. She is not to be alone, not for a second." That night, back in the safety of the estate, Maya spread her notes across the dining table. Cyrus stood beside her, reading the tangled web of connections, donors, shell companies, politicians, all tied to one name: Vanessa Blake. "This goes deeper than the foundation," Maya whispered. "She's building something." Cyrus nodded grimly. "Something that hides in plain sight." The following morning, Cyrus and Maya met Jensen in a secure underground facility near Culver City. A bare room, round table, whiteboard, projector. Jensen clicked the remote. Images and files appeared on screen. Winslow boarded a private jet 2 days ago. No flight plan filed. Likely destination: Grand Junction, Colorado. A data server farm owned by one of Ellison's companies. Maya frowned. "What's in the server farm?" Jensen hesitated. "If we're right, blackmail, audio, video, documents, every corrupt deal Vanessa touched, every powerful figure she compromised." "She doesn't just want revenge," Cyrus said, his voice like steel. "She wants leverage." "Then we go get it," he added, resolute. "Careful," Jensen warned quietly. "This isn't a boardroom anymore. You're stepping into her game now." Later that day, while Cyrus and the agents prepared the logistics for an official legal probe, Maya stayed behind at the estate. Restless, and unease prickling beneath her skin, she found herself drawn again and again to the West Wing, Vanessa's old study. Something was there. She could feel it. She pushed open the tall oak door. Dust shimmered in thin shafts of afternoon light. The room was untouched, time preserved in every polished surface. A delicate vanity held framed photographs, antique books lined the shelves, and a massive armoire loomed against the far wall. Maya traced her fingers across the shelves. One leather-bound volume on art restoration caught her eye. It didn't sit quite flush. Gently, she tugged it free. A faint click echoed through the silence. The armoire creaked, not outward, but inward, revealing a narrow hidden corridor behind it. Maya hesitated, heart quickening. Then, switching on her phone's flashlight, she stepped inside. The passage was tight, lined with old brick and wooden beams. At its end, a small locked cabinet stood sentinel. Within, beneath a false bottom, she discovered a sleek portable hard drive and a slim folder labeled in crisp handwriting, "For insurance." Without hesitation, she carried them to Cyrus. Together, they spread the contents across the desk: USB drives, printed photographs, a handwritten letter in Vanessa's perfect cursive. The note read, "If you're reading this, I'm already gone. But I never played without a backup plan. And you, Cyrus, you were always predictable. So I leave you this, just enough to remind you who you underestimated." The hard drive contained surveillance footage, boardroom recordings, tapped phone calls, and one video that made Cyrus go pale. It showed Vanessa sitting in his office 6 months ago, speaking to someone off camera. "She's smart, that girl," Vanessa said coolly. "But kids always think justice is clean. It never is. That's what makes them dangerous." Maya studied Cyrus's face as he watched. "She was planning this even before I came," he murmured. "She always knew how to read a threat." Now they both understood. Vanessa hadn't merely betrayed them. She had built a trap, and Maya had just found the key to unlocking it. That evening, as the skies over Los Angeles darkened with the weight of an unseen storm, Cyrus's private jet cut through the night. Maya sat quietly beside him, her notebook clutched tightly in her lap, its pages worn from hours of scrawled connections, names, timelines, every fragile thread woven into this moment. "Nervous?" Cyrus asked. She shook her head. "Ready?" Their destination: Grand Junction, Colorado. Jensen's intel pointed there, an anonymous server farm housing the last pieces of Vanessa's digital blackmail vault. If the materials leaked, they could ruin half the city's elite. It was the final piece of Vanessa's leverage, and her last shield. "She won't give it up easily," Cyrus warned. "And if Winslow's still protecting it—" "I know," Maya replied, voice steady. "That's why we brought the truth." At the tarmac, a black SUV awaited them. Inside, Jensen and a small team of federal agents were already staged, hidden around the compound. From the outside, the server farm looked unremarkable, a plain concrete structure flanked by storage units. But underground, it held secrets crafted to outlast entire dynasties of wealth and influence. In the command van, Jensen outlined the plan. "We go in silent. You two stay with me. We reach the central node, extract the drives, and upload everything to our secured FBI channel. If she shows up, she will," Maya said. Moments later, clad in black, they moved swiftly, through a side-loading dock, past rows of humming servers bathed in cold light. Security guards lay unconscious in a rear hallway. Jensen nodded to Maya. "Lethal darts." At the heart of the complex, a steel door marked "Authorized Personnel" only blocked their path. Cyrus entered a passcode, one he'd pulled from Vanessa's private files. The door hissed open. Vanessa stood inside, arms folded, expression composed. Her tailored gray suit was immaculate. When she saw Maya, her lips curved into a cold, knowing smile. "I wondered when the child would appear," she said softly. "Did you really think you could undo me? With sentiment?" Cyrus stepped forward. "You underestimated her, just like you underestimated loyalty." Vanessa arched a brow, amused. "Loyalty? Don't flatter yourself. Everything you built, your empire, your legacy, it's all smoke and mirrors. You never dared look behind the curtain." Jensen's agents crept into position, silent as shadows. Vanessa's voice remained cool. "I've already backed up this entire server farm. Even if you dismantle it piece by piece, there's a copy waiting overseas. You can't stop the release." "You're right," Maya said, stepping forward. "We can't stop the data, but we can control the narrative." Vanessa's eyes narrowed. "Is that so?" From her pocket, Maya produced the drive she had recovered from the estate. She handed it to Jensen. "Your insurance drive," Maya said. "The one you thought would protect you. It's going live in 10 minutes. Every incriminating file, every piece of dirt, including the video of you threatening Cyrus, the embezzlement records, the fake donor accounts. You didn't just collect dirt on others. You kept plenty on yourself." For the first time, Vanessa's face paled, just slightly. "You see," Maya continued, her voice strong now, "people like you think power is about holding something over others. But real power is owning the truth before it owns you." Suddenly, the floor vibrated. A backup generator roared to life. "We've got movement. East side." Jensen's voice crackled in Maya's ear. "Someone's trying to override the lock." Vanessa's icy smile returned. "I told you, I'm not alone." Before she could speak again, 2 agents tackled her to the ground. Reinforced cuffs locked around her wrists. Jensen pulled Maya aside. "We need to move. Now." Cyrus remained long enough to watch Vanessa escorted out, her heels clicking coldly across the floor. Her expression never wavered, but her silence said everything. Back in the command van, Maya inserted the drive, eyes fixed on the slow progress of the secure upload. "It's done," Jensen confirmed. "She's finished. We'll handle the rest. Cyrus placed a hand on Maya's shoulder. You were incredible, she exhaled. She almost won. But she didn't, he said softly. Because of you. They flew back to Los Angeles under the cover of night. By morning, headlines exploded across the nation. Whistleblower teen exposes billion-dollar blackmail. Ring CEO's fiancé arrested in espionage scheme. Justice unfolds at Bennett Foundation. At the next board meeting, Cyrus addressed the foundation's executives with clear, unwavering resolve. From this day forward, the Bennett Foundation will no longer be a tool for power games. We return to our roots, helping children, rebuilding communities, funding honest futures, and we owe that to one brave young woman who saw what others wouldn't. He glanced at Maya, now seated proudly beside him, dressed in a neat gray blazer and jeans. Her eyes shimmered with emotion. The room erupted in applause. Later that week, at a community garden they had helped reopen in South Central LA, Maya and Cyrus stood quietly amid the warmth of the sun. Children played nearby. The air felt light. You okay? Cyrus asked. Maya smiled faintly. I still hear her voice sometimes, like an echo. But it's fading. She'll be in prison a long time. Good. Not just for what she did to you, but for what she almost made me believe, that we're too small to matter. Cyrus looked at her, pride in his gaze. You matter more than you know. Maya reached down and plucked a small daisy from the garden path, tucking it gently into her notebook. For the record, she whispered, justice isn't always loud. Sometimes, it's just a whisper that someone finally listened to. And in that quiet space, between the weight of truth and the freedom of speaking it, the story closed, leaving only the peace that follows after the storm.